We got Suni here from Mehrabad. Suni, are you in Mehrabad?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
great.
Oh, okay.
we got.
Oh, wow.
Are you near the tomb right now, or are you over at your place?
I'm over at my place, but I'm going to the tomb in a few minutes.
Oh,
Great.
Boy,
neat.
take us with you.
Yes, definitely. I'll show
Keep
you.
us in your prayers.
Sorry?
Please keep us in your prayers, if you will.
Oh, yeah, sure, sure.
Thank you so much. You touched my heart by doing so.
You're welcome.
All right, show your picture so she can pray for you in
Yeah, right.
My picture?
yeah, show your video.
She needs
Have
to
a
see
video?
her face. She knows who's she praying for.
Yeah, that.
There you go.
There you go. Now she can see who she's praying for.
If I say cheese, do I get a double?
How about Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai?
Jay. Avatar, Mir Baba Ki Jay.
Jeez.
Jay Baba Suni, nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you too, Jay Baba.
You can barely see me because my light is off.
She's in the
It's
dark.
10:30 in the evening here.
She's in bed.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are not night
It's-
owls.
Yeah.
Hey, Fairstay, do you have that? Have you gotten to your translation of Hafiz, the one that the refrain is enough? If you do such and such, it is enough. If you do this,
Oh.
it's the last word is enough. I mean, that's translated to English.
Yes, that rings a bell, Jeff.
But I think it's in the 300s. So it's
It rings
probably-
a very, very distinct bell for me.
yeah.
I'll have to look it up and see if it's in one of the ones I've,
Someone did a
because
poll.
for a while I jumped around and translated from all over the place.
Mhm.
And then I decided then to go back and start at the beginning and keep going sequentially, but I
Ah.
may have hit on that one.
Yeah, it's one that someone did a falls method for the kind of cloistered life they were living. I mean, after for a long time, and they opened up to that. Gospel. And
Beautiful.
it's very confirming about the life they were kind of feeling, having doubts about.
Huh.
But I don't know, like I say, it can be translated in a lot of different ways, but the refrain was enough.
Yeah. Well, you guys carry on. I'll turn my computer on and take a casual look for it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Now where
See
is
what Jeff
she?
does to people? He makes us into night owls.
Even on your bed, you've got to get up and read Hafiz.
Where is Suni? Where are you, Suni? I see a roof over your head.
This is Pat's house in Mehrabad.
Oh, okay. Ah.
We don't see Mayor Prasad from Seattle. We just, he just left his name tag on the table.
Reserving his place.
Ah, there he is. Aha.
Hey, Baba Jeff.
Yeah,
Hello.
Jay Baba. Nice. And
I'm gonna
Lanita.
go, you all, you night owls. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay, yeah. See you, Betty. Alan.
This coat of Baba's is so beautiful.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we got Payam is there, and Ellie, and Denisha. Did she? Hey,
Hi.
you're not out doing errands, huh?
No, I have to take the dog, but I'm just spent, so I'm here just receiving all the wonderful sharings and enjoying.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in the world sometimes. I just want to be home.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a battle out there.
It is.
But even if you protect yourself in your house, it'll seep in. It seeps in. I mean, the vibrations, I would say, of the world
Really. I
in.
come home, it's like a little safe, what do you call it? Cocoon.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Well, if I was here every day, probably it would be different, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, is that Ganesh? Yeah, hey, it is Ganesh from Pune.
Baba Jeff, good morning.
Yeah.
Ganesh showed up for duty
Good evening.
yesterday, looked around for 2 seconds.
Uh-huh.
No Jeff. He left.
We've known each other over the years on my trips to India. And yeah, we've had some good talks. And he rounds up all of the Pune people. We have a big luncheon every year with all of these older people who met Baba, and they come and share their stories, including Pratap and Digambar, who've been talking every Friday for us here.
Hmm.
Gee, I was thinking of something, but now
Mhm.
um, I, I wrote something down only because someone was someone was asking about this particular topic, if I can even find it. Yeah, there it is. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
So this is about joy, but
Mhm.
this is what I found that because of the Mandali's proximity to Baba's being at an inner level, many truths flowed from them even in ordinary conversation. Often without their knowing, they would sometimes impart profound insights through their casual remarks. Once back in 1971, Adi happened to say offhandedly, "It's better for Baba lovers to remain on the gross plane. If they get on the spiritual planes, Baba has to bring them down, and that involves great suffering." At the time, I didn't realize the value of these words until I began attending the Baba-filled meetings at Darwin and Jean Shaw's home in Schenectady, New York. The atmosphere of those meetings was so uplifting that I would sometimes find myself in a state of overwhelming bliss, so infinitely expansive that I never wanted the experience to end. The mere thought that this might happen was excruciating. The meetings were usually on Sunday evenings, and the next day I had to go in to work at the infirmary wing of the county nursing home, a very dense, low-energy atmosphere created by patients who were suffering in the extreme at the end of their lives. In an exalted state of bliss, you might say I crash landed into this depressed county nursing home, my heart ending up scattered amid the emotional wreckage. After several weeks of this disturbing experience of emotional upheaval, I vowed never to allow myself to go up into bliss again, but instead settle for what I called a state of ordinary being happy. Ordinary being happy. Adi's words came back to me unexpectedly and reinforced this resolve. I had to fight to stay on earth and resist the impulse to go into bliss. This realization had invaluable implications in my inner life with Baba for decades afterwards. I discovered that in transcending the gross world, my experience of the soul was of bliss, while in staying down on earth, my experience of the soul was of joy. I found that the state of joy was so much more practical because I could carry on my life in the world without experiencing such emotional and spiritual extremes. Years later, this joy metamorphosed into a state of what I call unfelt joy. What could that ever mean, you might ask? I found that over time that I no longer had to experience joy in order to know that joy was the abiding state of my heart at its innermost level. I no longer had to go back into the recesses of my heart to see that it was there. Even all the emotional and mental ups and downs of my daily life could not affect this joy. There was a buoyancy that was unassailable, unaffected by life's experiences, a deep knowing. One who is completely down on their luck and finds themselves homeless and helpless in a roadside ditch, what do they have to worry about if their father is a billionaire? A simple phone call and they're rescued. Knowing that joy is always there has allowed me to experience great emotional and mental extremes that, when I was younger, I would have struggled mightily to endure. It is a faint, this joy is a faint but reassuring reflection of Erich's description of the Mandali's experience, where Erich says, "We are the chalices that hold the beloved's wine. Others may come and help themselves, but for us, we never take a drop." So that's it. Did that make any sense?
Yes, yes. That's beautiful. Can you share it? Can you email us?
Yeah, I could probably, yeah, I'll let me write, I mean, I got your email address, but I'll write
Me
it down.
too.
Oh, Payam, you want that too?
Yes. Yes.
Me too,
Okay.
please. Ellie.
Oh, Ellie, I don't have your,
Send
I
it
got,
to me. I'll send it to her. I'll
Okay.
forward.
yeah, okay. You got
Perfect.
mine and Ganesh.
And me too, Jeff. It's Meher Chand.
Oh, Mayor Chand. Oh, okay. Now I don't have your email address.
I can send you on your to you.
Okay. And you got mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't have yours, but I'll just know. I'll ask Prakash to give you.
yeah.
Surya Prakash.
So anyway, I just, it was just something, someone was asking about joy. And so, oh, yeah, if,
So how do you keep it, Jeff? How do you hold on to it?
no, it's just there. Nothing to hold on to.
Mm,
I'm saying is it's behind us. That joy is behind us.
mhm.
But I think of like the heart is like an echo chamber. Whatever you activate, it echoes in the whole chamber. So, but joy, well, I just say joy is at the back of everything. Well, even love is at the back, but this person was asking about joy.
Mm.
It is our natural state. It's not like you have to cultivate joy when we let go of all these other things, we drop into that joy. You know, it's there. I mean that's just. I mean, it's Baba's presence. You can call it um, a lot of things, but this person was asking about joy, so I kept it on that. I use that word.
That's the challenge, to keep well, not hold on to it like you said, it's always there, but to be in tune with it.
Yeah.
Jeff?
And to know that it is there, that it's not a void back there. It's joy. It's at the innermost level. It's joy, and not the void. If you use your mind to look to see what's back there, you'll get the void. If you use your heart to look back there, you'll find joy. That's just my experience. Ganesh, what do you think?
Yes, thanks for sharing that. What you say is right. What you this thing. Not that I'm not the one to judge, but what you say, I could say, I could uh, feel said, and it was, yeah. So it was profound. It's profound what you shared.
Mm.
And the difference between bliss and joy, I mean, how do you?
Well, what I said there is if you kind of get elevated in a more of a transcendent state, your experience of the soul will be bliss. But if you're down here on the earth and you experience the soul, I'm just saying and I experience the soul, I experience it as joy. But and as I said, joy is more practical. It doesn't contrast. I mean, when you go from bliss down to the earth again, it is. I found it unbearable. But joy, you don't have to go up for joy. You just have to go within for joy.
What do you mean go up for bliss? Go up where?
I mean, if you kind of transcend in a meditative state or something, and you go up into above the body, so to speak.
Oh, I see.
You know, you get into the realm of bliss, but
that's why joy is more practical, because you can stay here and feel the joy and enjoy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's very strong. It's very solid and substantial. Yeah.
So you experience in your own life, I mean, in a daily basis, in your life, just, you know, around the center and whatever, working, thinking, playing volleyball.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back in there, you'll find joy. If you go with your heart. Oh, Lanita, we weren't hearing you there. Uh-oh, she's freezing up again. She's giving me that drop dead look. No.
You have that effect on people, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, there, Lanita's back. We missed you, Lanita. Uh-oh.
I'm back. My computer is a little temperamental.
What's that?
My computer has a weird temperament sometimes.
But like I say, what I found is if you go into the depths of the mind, you kind of come to a void, a vast emptiness. But if you go into the heart, you get the fullness. What do you think, Alan? I'm going to ask these bystanders. What do you think, Alan? He just got off of work, you know, where they beat him up.
Yeah, he has that look. Give me some coffee.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Here, I'm at the Samadhi.
Yeah, oh, good. And this is like live, folks.
Wow.
This is
live. Wow.
Yeah, beautiful. And you're walking closer and closer to it, or you,
Yeah, this is where I can go, not beyond this.
Open?
No, it's not.
Yeah, wow. That's the side with Mara.
Yeah.
Wow.
I almost wanted to chant this Arabic thing that we say, you know, in Muslim prayers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see if I remember. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In the name of God Most High, and his prophet Muhammad and his progeny, his followers, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we used to do in praise of God.
Yeah.
But nowadays we say Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
So we're going right around. Now, Suni, there's a bougainvillea behind you. I want to tell you something. There it is, right there. See that?
Yes.
Now, for many years, that no one knew what that thing was, and it was just in nondescript. And so I went. I don't know when it was, what year it was, but I went there with my dad's ashes, some of my dad's ashes, and
I love this story.
and I was wondering what. I took him into the tomb, and my dad had a great sense of humor. I mean, in fact, when I decided that after I got into Baba, I had such an expansive state. I vowed never to work again, and I didn't. I went on for about a year and a half just bumming around. And my dad came down from Vancouver, BC one time, and he said, took me aside. He said, "Son, by Eastern standards," I mean, because I was going around just thinking of Baba. He said, "By Eastern standards, you may well be working overtime, but when you're going to get a goddamn job?" But anyway, he was kind of like that way, But anyway, so I took these ashes into the tomb. This was back before any restrictions were placed. And when I was in there, and I was kind of wondering, well, I wonder what I should do with my dad's ashes. And I heard my dad's voice say, "Son, why don't you just go fertilize a tree?" So I went to I stepped outside, and I saw that thing right there. And there was a Jungli master, one of the Mandali, was kind of attendant, and I was over there kind of digging away and putting these ashes around this bush, trying, and he would, every once in a while, he looked kind of wondering what I'm doing over there, but I succeeded. And the next year I came, the thing was in bloom, and it was actually a bougainvillea. So anyway, it was kind of sweet. And it's that way.
We brought one of Meher Baba Chicago Center's pillars to Mehrabad, his ashes.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit, a tiny pinch, and put it around the tomb.
Yeah.
That's one place he wanted to go so badly.
Yeah. Now I think it's not allowed, but this was.
Did you know John Kropinski, Jeff?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know the story?
No. I don't. I might have, but say it again.
So he was a very early on Baba lover, long time ago Baba lover. He knew a lot of the early Chicago Baba group. And then he had a stroke. And, he was a genius musician, just very talented, very, very bright. I think kind of one of those advanced, good souls. So he got a stroke. Oh, Baba, this is so great. And ended up in a nursing home for the rest of his life. Ended up marrying another woman there, a woman there, because they were harassing her. So he married her to protect her in a way. Then what happened was Bob Fredericks just happened to mention to us one day that John Kropinski was in a nursing home not too far from our first location, the Chicago Center in 2010, north of Chicago. So we ended up, Jim and I would go pick him up from the nursing home and bring him to the center. And for the last, I would say, 7 years of his life, the Chicago Center was his lifeline. It was incredible. He gave us so much joy, and he got so much out of coming to the center. And in fact, when we had to move our center to another location, he made a request and changed his nursing home to be near us, even though the second nursing home was not as good. And this continued until the very end, you know, when he passed on in October of 2018, maybe 17, I don't remember. So him and Nosher Sigamporia, who was also, his father was founder of Bombay Center. Those two were pillars of our, you know, old-timer pillars of our center. And when both of them demised, the Chicago just kind of went downhill. And my theory was Baba created the Chicago Center for 10 years for them.
It's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And of course, all of us, but really, it was amazing.
No, lovely.
And
Yeah.
he has a book that I have. He hand wrote, this probably about 200-300 pages long, of the life of a devout Baba lover in a nursing home, and how his interior life evolved and developed, and what he did with his daily living in a place like a nursing home where nobody knew anything about Baba.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope sometime I might be able to get to see that book.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see what Alan, though. I mean, he's had time to have a coffee and wake up a little bit.
Oh, look at Doggy. Samadhi Doggy. Hi, puppy. Oh, I miss those guys.
So Alan, what's been going on with you?
Thank you, Suni.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Suni. Yeah.
Thank you, Suni. Yes.
Yeah, nothing much. I just got off work, very tired. That's pretty much my where I find myself now.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of energy of these times. So I feel heavy and sleepy.
Yeah, we'll wake you up. Ganesh, who's right next to you in one of these boxes, he's a guy that works like crazy too.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
Alan, take a pinch of that dust that he walked on and put it on your head. That'll make you feel better.
Which one?
I said, take a pinch of that dust that he walked on and put it on your head.
Yeah, I gotta find some around here.
It's there.
So
Jeff,
Suni
I
left.
got Jeff.
Yeah.
I want to say goodnight.
Yeah. See you, Al.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I want to say goodnight, but I did want to share. You were talking to Pharisee about a Hafiz phone that ends with enough, and I don't know that, but there is a statement or a saying by Meister Eckhart, where he says if throughout your whole life, the only prayer to God that you say is thank you, that will be enough. So
Yeah.
that's the Christian enough. You have to find me Hafiz enough. Anyway, you all have a nice night and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yay, Baba.
Hey,
Yeah, Baba. Thank you.
Ganesh, you got any things to share or any questions or anything?
Not right now. That's nothing coming to my mind. But Merchant was saying that you wanted to share something about grace or discuss. That's what you were saying about grace.
Uh-huh. Who was saying that?
Merchant, he said you
Merchant.
mentioned that you wanted to share something about grace.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm asking you.
Oh. Oh, something about grace.
Yes. So,
yeah. Of course, Baba says it's always flowing into us.
Into us.
There's there's a line from Rumi where he says faith is a sail hoisted above the ship of your being. When your sail is raised, you will be carried to place after place of grace and wonder. If you don't raise your sail of your ship, you will only float, you will only drift with the tide of the world. So, I mean, that's, and Ramakrishna says the same thing. You have to put your sail up to pick up the wind of grace. Now, how do you do that? What's your thought?
Baba has said, like, remembrance is one thing.
Yeah.
And remembrance, love. So loving him and remembrance him.
Yeah. I mean, Baba says it draws his grace when we remember him or we try to do things for him.
And even thanking him.
Draws his grace, and then, yeah.
You know, and one more thing is,
we got, let's see, Mary Prasad, go ahead.
I heard Iraj say this that I never heard of before, that Baba said that awareness is my grace. I never heard of that.
Wow.
And the commentary he made is that the awareness that we have, that Baba is doing, you know, any time that world events happen or anything that happens in our life, the awareness that this is Baba doing is also his grace. I never really heard that before.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, because it's in a certain way, it's being aware that it is happening all the time, but the awareness kind of gets depressed in kind of selfish things, and we miss the fact that what is really happening is moving us closer to the divine. I know one of my, when I got into Baba back in my college days, my burning question to Baba was, is there a loving wisdom behind everything that happens? Everything. Behind the good, bad, and ugly. Is there a loving wisdom behind everything? And, I mean, of course, he says so much in so many words, but to actually experience the truth of that is what I kept before Baba year after year, week after week. Is there a loving wisdom behind everything that happened? And you wouldn't believe it, but it came to me not through all the love that was showered on me by all the people in my life in the Mandali. It came by the most cruel and unkind treatment of me. You know, it forced me to investigate further and further. Is this love? Is there love behind this? And after about 30 years of treatment that seemed mean and unkind, was actually succeeded in bringing that home to me. I mean, so that the negative side, in other words, the negative side of life is what actually, and having to try to fathom that. I mean, say if you were black and you wanted to try to get into all-white country club and they wouldn't let you in, the shock of that to your psyche, you might resent it, but if you keep looking and looking, you would find that there is actually a loving wisdom behind that.
In humiliation, supposing there is some humiliation that's happening,
yeah.
and like when you ponder, and I don't know the revelation part, but I think the humiliation keeps us grounded.
Yeah, it has its place. I mean, the Mandali, all of them would use the same basic adjectives about their life with Baba. Their life with Baba was frustration, exhaustion, and humiliation. And that's
Okay.
kind of produced.
Loving wisdom, Jeff. I didn't quite get that.
Huh?
Can you expand on the loving wisdom?
No, I mean the thing that the way the Mandali described their life with Baba was frustration, exhaustion, and humiliation. In fact, Adi once said, Adi Kairani said, if I hadn't gotten into Baba, I would have been a great saint with a large following. But instead, under Baba, I've had to suffer, you know, exhaustion, humiliation, and frustration. Day after day, week after week. He gave up an exalted state for being down on earth, hassling. He would say trying to balance Baba's books at the end of every month. His finances was just drove him crazy because there was no guarantee that anything would come out. But somehow, at the last moment, something would work out and they'd be able to make it through the next month.
Yeah, do you think that's why Padre would call people who were coming to Mehrabad like loonies? Because most people in the world, you know, if you say like what Baba said, like I'm not come to give you what you want. I'm not come to give you the things that you ask for, but to take, you know, to take away those things that keep you from God, keep you from me. I mean, most people in the world, when they hear that, it's pretty like, it's pretty like it's the last thing they want to do is to lose everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that's a tough one to explain to someone. It's not something to explain, I think, if you're not a Baba lover, but
yeah,
it's
yeah. He's got to change. He has to change our address from being here to being there.
Yeah.
And he's going to give up the address that they've lived in for the last 84 lakhs of lives or whatever. 84,000 lakhs of lives. I don't know how many, but who wants to leave where they are? When Baba offered to push Muhammad the Must from the third to the fifth plane, but he didn't want to do that because the known is always a little more comfortable than the unknown until the known becomes unbearable. So I think sometimes Baba has to kind of drive us out of where we are to that what Rumi calls this the timeless and the placeless.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot for me. Where remember how we talked about maybe once or twice the thing of like, well, Baba, I don't know about that. I don't know about you taking away that just yet. Wait a minute. You know, like they get that sense where you get to those edges where it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to like lose everything in terms of like my job or my life, or you know, it's an edge for sure for me. You know, to think of surrendering that on a daily basis, especially with the chaos, you know, I hit those edges where I'm like, but then what, you know, who's really losing what? You know, like that's the only thing that keeps me from like spinning out into total fear. It's like, what am I losing again? Like, what am I living for?
What he usually does is he takes it from you and then he then puts you in charge of it for him. Like Shivaji was one of the minor incarnations of Baba back in the, what was it, the 1650s or something like that. And his master was Ram Das, who was a perfect master. And he became the ruler of Maharashtra, Shivaji, and he came to Ram Das to offer, give him the kingdom, or whatever the title was. And Ram Das received it and gave it back to him and says, now you take care of it for me. So it doesn't mean you necessarily lose everything. You lose ownership of everything, yeah.
Your ownership, you said?
You lose the ownership.
Wow. Wow.
So Adrian doesn't belong to you anymore, she.
Yeah, no, we when we got married that on January 31st, that when we were standing there, I really felt Baba kind of just made that very clear to almost everybody. Like even Adrian's dad was like, I don't know what he said. She was like running late or something, like to walk up to the thing, like where I was standing and the whole people were, and he was like gonna walk her to the ceremony. And then he said something like something he would never say, he was like, hey, come on, don't keep Baba waiting. Something like that, where it was
wow.
like everybody was just could feel his presence, and I knew that it wasn't like Alan marrying Adrian, it was it wasn't in my hands. But I had a responsibility too.
Yeah.
In a real way, to do the best I could, but not to hold on so tight, like it's like a dove in your hand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeff.
Did you find that poem?
So I Googled is enough to find just a trace of it. And I did find a translation by someone on Facebook. Translator would be Robert Bly and Leonard Lewison. And I think it might be the one you're talking about. Mm-hmm. One rosy face from the world's garden for us is enough. And the shade of that one cypress in the field, strolling along gracefully for us is enough. Something like that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
all right.
Read it.
However, yeah, this is there. But I tried to then look up keywords like is enough in Farsi in my divan, and I really haven't found it. And I'm wondering, but I did find something close, but I don't think it's our cigar.
Yeah, but this is somebody did a falls, and they got this this from Hafiz, and it pertains to I think to this life, this new life that we're having to live because of the pandemic.
Let me read one that I have translated that is kind of along the same lines, but a little different twist. And sorry, I'm a mess, but it's late. Shall I read it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
What is the use of sightseeing for one who has chosen seclusion? What is the need for wilderness when the neighborhood of the friend is at hand? Since you have a standing inquiry with God, O soul, with your last breath, ask him what our plea should be to him, of him. O merciful King, we are on fire for God's sake. For once, ask, what is the entreaty of this mendicant? We are masters of petitioning God, yet we have no tongue for asking. Where is the need for begging at the door of the most benevolent? The illumined face of the friend is the very seat of omniscience. Where is the need to express one's need before this presence? There was a time I had to bear the burden of paying homage to sea captains. Where is the need for the ocean when the real pearl is at hand? O hypocrite, go away, for I have no dealings with you. Where is the need for enemies when friends are at hand? There is no need to wage war if you intend for my blood. What is the need for plunder when all I have belongs to you? O beggarly lover, when the beloved offers you his life-giving, soul-bestowing lips, where is the need to beg for an insignificant and obligatory payment? O Hafez, stop now and let your poetic skill speak for itself. What is the need to quarrel and debate with the hypocrite?
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Adil. I see Adil's name has popped up from California.
Oh, Adil?
Yeah, but maybe we're not. Prakash, what do you got up there in the upper left corner?
No, I mean, I was just thinking about what's been said, and I something was going through my mind, and trying to put together what Alan is saying about becoming loonies. And I think if I know somebody who is close to me back home, and he had Baba's darshan twice. And I guess that means something, right? I mean, in the sense that you're ready for some real cleanup. And and that tells me that once you see Baba and have that kind of experience in his presence, the cleaning up process gets a bit hastened, and at times I see him, this gentleman, pretty erratic in his behavior, and I mean he is the one to take Baba's name constantly all the time. But there were moments when you think he would be sane and everything, but he has this habit of just exploding. I mean, for no particular reason, with somebody who is who is I mean, doing a lot of things for Baba and everything, and then you wouldn't expect somebody to come and shout at this person, but then something inside him just pops out, and then he just goes nuts. So I was thinking, I mean, that's where the loony thing sort of plays its role, and Baba just tries to get this out so quickly in one lifetime, perhaps, and one can be a bit erratic in their expressions.
Yeah, the last poem that Rumi wrote, he kind of basically apologized for the lovers of God, forgive them for their kind of unruly and impolite behavior.
No, it does happen. I mean, I've seen this with a lot of people. I mean, particularly those who have had very close relationship in terms of being with Baba in his presence. And then, I mean, at least that's been some of my observation. And also, remember Jeff and Alan and everybody here, we had a discussion about God and Avatar, and I have a 10-minute talk by Adi on this. So if you think this is time for all of us to listen, I can play it, or we can do it some other time. So let me know.
What do you guys think? This is Adi Kairani.
Yeah, it's somebody asked him in Mandali Hall, and I think, or probably in Kushru quarters. I don't know which location exactly. But then he explains it to the audience.
What do you think?
I'll be here for 10 minutes.
Before Prakash plays, Prakash was talking about lunatic behavior. When I was in last day on 7th February in 1969, the condition of the Pukar was such that anybody goes and says, Jai Baba, go away. He was in such a sorrowful and grief, Baba's dropping of the body. His behavior was abnormal. That's what he was. He loved so much. He loved Baba so much. He's totally immersed in Baba, and he was unbearable of the grief. That's the reason condition was there.
What you say? This was Pukar?
Pukar, yeah.
Pukar, yeah.
On all the 7 days, on the 1st of the Feb to 7th of the Feb.
Yeah.
Pukar, and all the time he was either standing near the Samadhi or sitting near the Baba's Sheriarji's Samadhi. That was in 69.
Yeah.
And sometimes even feel people, volunteers who are doing at the Samadhi, people just bow down to Baba Samadhi, and they'll be in a deep praying for some volunteer just taps on this thing, they shout sound suddenly because they're so much immersed in this thing, all sort of things.
Yeah, a lot of. We've all kind of experienced some crazy things happening around the tomb and at Mehrabad. But you know,
Prakash.
Before you do that, Prakash.
Yeah. No. I mean, we are talking about different things here. This may not be the right moment, but I can play it any other time.
Ganesh, what do you think? You up for listening?
Okay, sorry, I was talking on mute. This the topic is about the Adi's talk is about.
Adi talking about God.
Okay,
and
sure.
Avatar, yeah.
And Avatar,
and
okay.
the Avatar, yeah. He was very good at. He made a great. He would say the Avatar is greater than God.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
It sounded like it. I mean, but again, you should listen to him yourselves. But this time, I don't know if I can share my sound, but let me see if I can play and you guys can listen, then it's okay. Else, we'll just do it some other time. Here it is.
Oh yeah, let me ask you too, Prakash. Did you get the names of the email email addresses?
Yeah, I did. I sent you an email, but I'm missing Ganesh's email, and
I can get Ganesh. I got his.
If you just please add Ganesh's email to that list. And then you can simply reply to all, and then like last time, it will just go to everybody. And I mean, I miss Ganesh's and also merchants. But merchants, I'll get it from him, and I'll mail it myself once I get it.
That was very helpful last time. I just went down and.
Yeah, I just sent it to you. Yeah. So let me see if I can play, and you guys can listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're up to it. Here it is. But let's see.
Good night, everyone.
See you, Lenita.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye, Lenita.
Bye, Farshad.
And that's why it eludes our attention. Because of its very simplicity, we cannot arrest him, we cannot catch him, we cannot easily experience him. Now the question is, what would you like to have? Would you like to have God or would you like to have Meher Baba? It's a very ticklish question. It is not as easy to answer. So the pure question is, my question is, what would you like to have? Would you like to have God or would you like to have Meher Baba? One should honestly and sincerely answer the question, not because we are all sitting in the Meher Baba center that I may have been the secretary of Meher Baba and that the atmosphere is entirely Meher Baba, that you must come out and say that I want Meher Baba and not God. It should not be the case like this. You have to come out honestly and say what you want. Yes.
Doesn't Meher Baba include God automatically?
No, that is not the point. This is not the answer to my question, sir. You should not rationalize like this. Plain, the simple question is put to you. You have to answer whether you like to have Meher Baba, whether you like to have God. If somebody thinks that Meher Baba includes God, then it is up to him to answer the question, whatever he wants.
Are you waiting for answers?
Yes, I am waiting for the answer.
Well, I'm thinking of the Master's Prayer. Baba prays to God, so I want God.
You want God, you?
Yes.
At this point in my journey, I think I need Meher Baba, personification of God in human.
No explanation is needed at this time, sir. If I ask you, then you can explain. You can just answer whether Meher Baba or God. So the rest of all the things we shall discuss later on.
Meher Baba.
Meher Baba. You want God? All together means I do not know. Who is God and who is Meher Baba?
Try.
Who is God, and maybe I'll change my mind.
Let me first have a glass of water. Then we shall see about your tea. And later on, Meher Baba and God. So let me go first. You, sir?
I said Meher Baba.
You, sir?
Meher Baba.
You?
Meher Baba.
You?
God.
God. You?
God.
God. You?
Meher Baba.
Meher Baba.
Meher Baba.
God.
Wonderful. I do not think anybody loses anything by saying Meher Baba. And in one way he also does not lose anything even when he says God. But yet there is a difference. There is a difference, and God is like an ocean. But if I am thirsty and I go and stand before the ocean, I can't drink the water, can I? The water has to be purified, it has to be channelized, it has to be brought to the level of my human consumption. I am a human, I am a man in ignorance, I am a small man, I am a tiny being. So how am I expected to absorb the entire being of Godhood? Of course I want God. And that's why. But the unique thing about Meher Baba is that he is the ocean, and also he is the channel. He is the way and he is the goal, both. And in as much as if one understands it, he should have Meher Baba. Of course, even if you are going to ask for God and wish for God, it is only Meher Baba who is going to respond to your wishes. He is going to respond to your longing. God is not himself on his own going to come out. The ocean doesn't come out of its own existence and try to feed you with water. It is somebody else who does it. Channelize the waters, makes it run through the pipes and brings it to your house and home. So it is Meher Baba, but Meher Baba is nothing but God plus something. And plus something is not in the sense that we can imagine that there is any deficiency in God that is made up by Meher Baba, by the avatar. But whatever God has created, to fulfill the creation, to fulfill the purpose of the creation, the avatar is necessary, the avatar is needed. So avatar identifies both sides, the impersonal and the personal side of God. And Meher Baba in one sense is nothing but the personal side of God plus the impersonal side. And God is only the impersonal. God will never never shift out of his place, never will move out of his own moorings and try to help you in any way. But God does help you every time, and it is through avatar alone. The same God in the form of the avatar renders all the help to the entire world. Not only that, but he is the He is the cause and he is the means by which the whole world functions. So it makes very little difference. One should not feel that because he or she has asked for God and not Meher Baba, that she is going to lose anything at all. It's only a matter of understanding. It is something like this. The final is God. The finality of everything is God. But how can I reach the finality? How do I know the finality? I am absolutely in a state of darkness in my ignorance. I don't understand things at all. Neither am I able to, I may feel a few things, but I cannot have the direct experience of anything at all. So the same God in the form of the avatar gives you the experience of God. That is it. You can have another example like wheat and cake. Supposing God is something like wheat, the substance. But we can't go and take wheat like this as it is. If that wheat is turned into flour, it is kneaded and cooked and baked and all that, it forms into a beautiful cake, and it is only then we are able to eat it. So that is the importance of the avatar. In no sense God is inferior, avatar is superior, but so far the world, the creation that has come into existence only because of God, not because of avatar, only because of God. God has created the creation, and the creation has gone onto his chest, and he had to really create the avatar so that he would look after this creation. And the creation of avatar is nothing like something other or something different to him at all. It is the same God. In the aspect of God is God, in the aspect of avatar is avatar. So I say God as God is not man. And God as man, same God has become the man. Man is being made after the image of God. The same God who becomes man is not God. So God in his God consciousness has no man consciousness. God as God is not man. The same God, when he becomes man, he is only man conscious, he is not God conscious. So God as God is not man, and God as man is not God. The only play and the pun is about the consciousness. He is only the avatar. Who is God? Who is man at one and the same time? Who brings down God to become man and raises up man to become God. This is the beauty of the avatar.
There it is.
Hey.
We can just go on. There are a couple of other minutes, but I think generally.
I mentioned this the other day. I went into the lagoon cabin on my on my Saturday evening duty. So I went into the lagoon cabin and was standing in front of the chair, and Baba flashed this to me. I mean, it's been in the air a little bit, just as what Adi was talking about. But Baba, the idea of the formless God and God in form, and he gave me this figure. I mean, I'd never thought about it, but he said, think of God, the impersonal, the formless, is a puppeteer, and the avatar is a hand puppet. So the hand puppet is there. Can you say that the hand puppet is different from the puppeteer? I mean, it's the same being that's operating it. You know what I mean? So the hand puppet is like when is a way of God coming down on earth and interacting with us. But it's the same. You can't say that the hand puppet is inferior to the puppeteer, or that they're separate. It's just the same guy. I don't know. I thought, wow, that.
I wonder what Adi was talking about when he said at the end there. He said like God as God does not experience being a human being, and then the avatar does not experience being God, or something like that. I was like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that I didn't I thought he wanted to say man is not God, God is not man, but
God, man.
but but God as man is both God and man. I would have said, but
So here is something that I found, which is an effort and grace, which speaks on the same point, which Darwin says. Beloved Meher Baba has said that the God man, the avatar, is more powerful than God the infinite. Being consciously one with the universal mind, he can and does respond to people with all the infallible, invincible, absolutely dependable attributes of the universal mind, but with full personal consciousness of us and the creation. So this is what Darwin says in his book Effort and Grace about the avatar. And he says that beloved Meher Baba has said that God man, the avatar, is more powerful than God the infinite.
yeah, and Adi would say that too. Is that he would say the avatar is greater than God in the sense that God can't be over here actively dealing in creation, whereas the avatar can. God as the avatar can, even though to be over in creation, the creation doesn't really exist. It's just an illusion. So,
yes.
But the avatar can do things that God can't do, so to speak. God as God can't do. I mean, it's amazing that Baba is with each one, personally with each one. How can he do that? It's unfathomable. How he can be with everyone, whether they believe in him or not. One time I was with Erich, and at the trust there, they would have tea around 3:30. And I think there was a bug that came across the table. And that's kind of what he said. People will kind of kill that bug and thinking, well, you know, the bug has just this very finite awareness, a little keyhole awareness on creation, this bug. So you smash it and it has no idea what happened. But Erich said, there's the bug, but then there's Baba with full consciousness behind the bug. You know, so it's like you kill the bug, but you think that Baba's not fully present. You know what I mean? Like these birds are flying in formations across the sky. How do they know how to tilt and go different ways and keep that formation? Because Baba's up there with them doing it. It's not like they're cut off from Baba's full awareness operating. Does that make sense? I mean, wow, that means that not only is he watching our lives, he's watching bugs and birds. That's why all these kind of miraculous things happen. How does a salmon know how to go get all the way back to the original river that they came from to spawn their eggs, or, you know? Because Baba, with his infinite knowledge, is orchestrating it all. It's really fabulous.
I was just thinking then, if even then the very first avatar that formed was aware of every single thing, because the time doesn't exist, right? In that, I mean, I don't know. It's just there's a realm where time is not. So the first avatar moving their arms, blinking, walking through the earth, whichever earth that was, whichever place that was in spatial matter, knew that this moment right here, where we're talking, everything, it's still happening. It's still just one movement. It's just like one string of oneness. I mean, that for me, that like every avatar knew about the next billion forever. It goes on. It'll never. I mean, the duality will just keep going. The dream.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have the vantage point of this moment, that if you're really in the timeless present, then you can look over there and see the past, which is the present. You look in the future, and it's really just an aspect of the eternal present. So you know everything that's going on.
And does the next avatar have the capacity? Because when Baba says the avatar has the capacity to, he is the law. Then if that's the case, then when he change his mind the next time he comes over, he's like the Buddha, and then there's this one. He meets them and he decides, I'm going to shift the whole play of what it was to what it is, to a whole nother place. Like, is that what grace is? Like, just all of a sudden, there's just no reasoning. It's just by his whim. There's just a change in that person's destiny or focus in life or movement.
Yeah, I mean, I think he gives us a whole fresh direction, even though he can't just wave a wand and change everything, but he has to still operate within the laws of creation. But with grace, he can shift the ocean liner, at least change the direction. I mean, you can't just turn an ocean liner around just like that. It's a very slow turn, but he can turn creation. If it's gotten too materialistic, he can turn it toward the spiritual.
Wow. Yeah, I was thinking about Baba in his last. In his last incarnation up until 1969. I had this idea. I don't know if I was going to bed, but before I fell asleep, I had this imagery of Baba, like every single movement and breath and blood cell and all the physicality, all the movement that Baba did in his entire life of all those 70-something years was like representational to every single, like the billions of people that would come. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like a movement of his finger in 1932 was something that affected someone's life in the year 2020 when they got in a car accident in front of a Hertz rent-a-car, and they're like, God, oh, dang it! It's like that little movement out of all the little lives that he was affecting by all of his movements. I just thought of that, like, until that last moment in 1969, and then I don't know what happens after that. But that just kind of flashed to me, like it.
Yeah, I would say every movement of Baba is grace being brought into this, what Baba calls rigidly determined causation.
Wow.
It's lightening up the whole.
You said rigidly determined causation?
Yeah.
Baba used those words?
Yeah. Let me see if I can get it.
Rigidly determined causation. Has anybody else heard that phrase before?
I think so. Somewhere that rings a bell, but I don't know exactly. But
I've never heard
causation.
Now here is something. The divine response. I just will read a line from here. Baba says, each. I don't know if you are able to hear. Are you guys able to hear me? I don't know if I'm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
yes, you're audible.
It says, each action of mine is a response in accordance with the necessity of the recipients on various planes of consciousness. And so by its very nature and magnitude, by my divine response sometimes appears enigmatic. And there is one more, which I thought, one more line here, which makes, which reads so beautifully. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Tempered by my compassion. That's what you're.
Yeah, I mean, so no, let me read that again. Each action of mine is a response in accordance with the necessity of the recipients on various planes of consciousness. And so by its very nature and magnitude, my divine response sometimes appears enigmatic. And there is one more line here, which is so beautiful. Okay. I don't know. I couldn't find it. It's in this. Something about my response being divine in those lines. It's so fantastic. I mean, okay. Yeah, here. Being unlimited, I am simultaneously on all levels of consciousness. And as such, in my response, I differentiate one from other solely in the light of their impressions or different states of consciousness that the impressions give rise to. Even not that one. Well, anyway, when I find it, I'll...
There is this quote on Everything and Nothing, page 46. Every moment I respond to the whole creation, my response being divine is wholly from love.
You nailed it, Ganesh. That's the one I was looking for.
That's exactly on Everything and Nothing, page 46.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
Can you read that again? What was that?
Yeah, it's very like it's a very, very, very profound and important quote.
Yeah, really profound. Yeah.
Every moment I respond to the whole of creation, my response being divine is wholly from love. So every moment he responds, it's filled with his compassion and love, though we can't understand or fathom it. It's filled with his compassion. That's what it says.
That's a tough one to remember when it when it looks like or feels like or experience is like suffering, immense suffering. You know, it's hard to see. It's hard to for us to fathom where the love and compassion is in behind such experiences. But that's that's within the term unfathomable. That's why that term is there, because it's maybe one day, and when it's time for us to know, we'll be able to. Maybe we first of all won't remember that moment of suffering, immense suffering, and second of all, we probably will see it all at the same time, and then we just be with him. So I remember reading somewhere Baba said, all of your many lives and all the suffering you experienced, will be as if it was nothing. When you come to me, which is incredible. I mean, and I love when he said that to that lady. I mean, I know, if I said this to my mom, for example, for someone that she lost, if I said, Mom, well, they never existed. If I said that to somebody, if I say that to my mom, for example, she would be not very happy with that term. But when Baba said that to a woman who had just lost her partner or somebody close to her, and it was just the way that he said it, the fact that, the avatars is telling you they never existed, and that she was helped from that, because that's an unfathomable thing that you would say to somebody who just lost somebody. But it's profound. It's deeply profound. Like, oh man, yeah.
And just to add to that, it's Baba who could say that. If we tried to imitate that, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's only when Baba says it, it's so profound.
Yeah.
So on the same topic here, there's one more quote from Everything and Nothing. If you want to blame anyone, blame me, for everything in the universe has come out of me. And so I am the only one who can be blamed. But you have no idea of my love and compassion, which sustains your very being. In love is infinite compassion, and whatever happens is already tempered by compassion.
Has already been what by compassion?
Tempered.
Tempered. That's a beautiful line. I mean, read that again, because this is a very, Baba's given a really valuable key about the whole idea of blaming.
Yeah.
Read it again.
Yeah, this is on page 49 in the book Everything and Nothing. If you want to blame anyone, blame me, for everything in the universe has come out of me, and so I am the only one who can be blamed. But you have no idea of my love and compassion, which sustains your very being. In love is infinite compassion, and whatever happens is already tempered by compassion.
Yeah. I mean, you know, an example, say, I've given this where someone, their marriage ends in a divorce, and a guy, he loses the closeness with his kids and everything, but sometimes they'll tell you 25 years later, it was the best thing that happened to me, because I woke up to how selfish I was, how I neglected the kids, how I took my wife for granted. You know, so there's a compassion about it. There was one lady that came here in '52 named Beryl Williams. She was a black lady, educated, grew up, you know, I think she grew up in New York, and she suffered a lot of prejudice being black and everything. And so when she came to down here in 1952 to the center, she asked Baba, "Why was I black?" And Baba said, "Because in the past you were very cruel to blacks." And it's not like a punishment. It's so you see the effect of how you treated somebody. You get the other side of it, not as a punishment. You get it so that you won't do that again. So you'll have compassion for somebody that previously you were so cruel to. So it's, but you know, to somebody, I went out. The reason I went out, I was trying to find Life at Its Best. Does someone have Life at Its Best handy?
Right here, right here.
Okay, the discourse in there is on, I forgot the title of it.
Let me read all the titles here. I mean, only
It's
so
the one
few.
on grace, the grace of a perfect master. It's about 3/4 of the way through. This is incredible what Baba gives, what grace is. The descent of grace, maybe?
The descent of grace. I'm searching. There is one, the nightmare, something. Is that the one?
The act of a perfect master. It might be, is a descent of grace. It could be the act of a perfect master. It's in Life at Its Best.
The master is the way. The limiting nightmare.
No. This is the mystery of the grace of a perfect master. It's the
I wish I had a.
Huh?
I wish I had a digitized version of this book. Then we can search quickly.
Yeah, I'm having the digital version. It's right here. What I'm searching.
Oh, you are.
It's Meher Baba Trust.
Oh, it's there. Okay.
Life at Its Best.
The master and his role, deathless living. That is a paragraph on.
No,
grace.
that's not it. The act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in what is otherwise rigidly determined causation.
I think that is in beams.
No.
No. Okay, I got it. The flash from the eternal.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. What page is it?
Page 22. The flash.
What's the title of the?
What's the title?
The flash from the eternal.
Okay. Oh, okay. Alan, are you? Wait until Alan is there.
Yeah, I'm almost situated.
Okay.
All right. So it's page 22.
This is one of the great quotes I mean, this discourse. Okay.
Ganesh, you're reading that?
Okay. If you want to, anybody can read.
Yeah,
Or
go
I can
ahead.
read.
Go ahead.
Okay. The flash from the eternal. The act of a perfect master is not repetitive. It is not merely the redoing of something previously experienced in the context of a new setting, of something that cannot be done within the restriction of experiences of duality. It is a creation of the utterly new, a descent of the truth into the false. Hence, its creativity is infinite. The redeeming act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in the midst of that is otherwise nothing but a rigidly determined causation. This is the mystery of divine grace bestowed by the perfect master.
So yeah, read it. Read it again.
Okay.
I mean, this is
The flash.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
The flash from the eternal. The act of a perfect master is not repetitive. It is not merely the redoing of something previously experienced in the context of a new setting. It is the doing of something that cannot be done within the restrictions of the experiences of duality. It is a creation of the utterly new, a descent of the truth into the false. Hence, its creativity is infinite. The redeeming infinite. Infinite. The redeeming act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in the midst of what is otherwise nothing but rigidly determined causation. This is the mystery of divine grace bestowed by the perfect master.
That's and going back to what Alan said, I feel like every movement of Baba's is that.
Yep. Yep.
Every movement, you know, even lifting his finger, it is going out to all of creation, kind of relieving us from the rigidly determined causation of what he inherited before he arrived. You know, when he starts his mission, then that process starts up. And I feel like about the Mandali is they got to a point where they knew that every movement, everything that Baba asked, everything that Baba wanted to do was just sending out grace to the whole universe, to the whole world. So they would do anything that he said just to cooperate completely because he is doing, they're cooperating with him who is sending out his grace personally to each one.
So then are we
Yes.
we're in that situation
Sorry.
as well?
Go ahead.
No, Alan was saying something.
Yeah, Alan, yeah.
I was just saying because I'm reading this where Baba says, "Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely. Baba has placed me in this situation." And if that's the case for all of us, then just we find ourselves in the same place as the Manali. Maybe we're not in the same exact shoes, but if we are here with Baba in this way and we're remembering him, there's some reason for it. He's working with us directly where we're like in his net. It's just like and we all are, but I feel like there is a different, like Adi was saying, there's a different differentiation between, I think, those who are not necessarily at this point in time focused on anything towards God, and then others who are more focused towards God, or particularly the avatar. I feel like, I don't know if I've ever said that out loud, but I've thought it. It's like, isn't there's some sort of, there's something, not in a special way, but it is something that there's work to be done by us, those who are Baba lovers, in a way that's, moment to moment.
Yeah, we're linked into a huge the machinery of grace. And to whatever extent we're able to plug into it, we're I mean, Mansari used to say that Baba had told her, and probably the other women, Mandali, that if I have one of my lovers in a city, that city is protected.
Wow.
Wow.
Protected.
Yeah. In other words, he can step in because there's a certain level of surrenderance. He can just step in and do something through us.
Wow.
So that availability. In other words, he could elbow Ganesh completely out of the way and do something for Pune.
No, Baba directly works on Pune. So,
Jeff, when are you coming to New Jersey then?
What was that, Prakash?
When are you coming to New
I always
New Jersey?
wondered about Ganesh.
so I think, Jeff, as you're saying this, one thing, the thought that comes to my mind, and the avatar's advent itself is grace.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah. And grace can be there. There's grace here all the time, but this is a certain heightened, intensified level of the operation of grace when he actually comes here. Ripples and waves, go in all directions.
When the wick of righteousness burns low.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah. When we're
I found our poem.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't translated yet, so it will have to wait until our next session.
Yeah, but
I will do the due diligence.
And this one was someone, wondering how they should live in the pandemic. This is a person's more contemplative, and this was the Hafiz answer that they got using the Falls method after not, rarely doing such a thing. So it would be it very pertains a lot.
Yeah, I will work on it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So even when we are doing our worldly things, whatever they are, whatever we think about, whatever opinion we have of what we think we're doing, we are ultimately, if we're here with him, if Baba has come and touched our hearts in such a way, then his grace, his nazar, is just with us, regardless of what we think we're doing, or we how lost we think we are, or how whatever we could judge ourselves with.
Yeah, it might even be good not even to be so aware of what Baba might be doing through you.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine you could get caught in that if you try to chase that thought form.
Yeah. One time Darwin, he was with Baba in New York, and he and his daughters were involved in getting people, lining up the people to go in to see Baba with their appointments and everything. And they were very active, going up and down stairs and everything in this building. And at one point, there was a gathering. Baba was with them in, I think it was probably Ivy Deuce's apartment, and there was a gathering there. And Darwin had the thought, Baba is using our energies And the moment he had that thought, Baba ended the gathering. That's it, you know, and and ended it. And he realized that even that thought shouldn't have been there. I mean, Baba ended a whole gathering to bring home to Darwin. Don't even think that way.
That's incredible.
I mean, he knew Baba had got him, had responded to his thought and said, "That's it. That's the end of this gathering."
Wow.
So,
It probably interfered with Baba's work.
yeah, and this is like real finer tuning. I mean, it would be all right for someone else doing, but when you get up to a more refined level, that type of thinking is verboten. You know, it gets in the way. Other people, it might not get in the way. It might be something that keeps them very inspired with Baba. Yeah. Whoop, we lost.
Meher Prasad says
He went back to Seattle.
Yes, he said he has to go.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, Ganesh knows that one story. I mean, it may not have heard that one story, the one that I mentioned, you know, to you about Sarosh. I'll mention this. Ganesh, you might find this interesting. Ganesh was one of the early Mandali. He was, you know, with Baba, I think when he was 18. He was Adi's cousin, and they grew up, and they got into Baba very early. And he was a businessman. He helped kind of finance Baba's work, one of the main people. But if you, when I saw him in the early 70s, he would say, I was standing up, he would say, his whole thing was Baba, 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 saying Baba from his heart. That was his whole thing, in and behind his work in as a businessman. And so after Baba dropped the body, he came to America. Came first to New York. But Darwin said the moment he touched the American shore, he could feel waves and waves of love coming from, he was, you know, maybe 5 hours away from New York City. Waves and waves of love going out over the whole country. I mean, Darwin was kind of sensitive in that way. Then Sarosh went up to Boston. And so Darwin and Jean were coming from Schenectady, maybe, can't remember, 5 hours or 3 hours from Schenectady to Boston. With these waves and waves of love were going out all over the countryside. And as they got closer to Boston, they got more and more intense. And eventually they got to the place where Sarosh was. They came in there, and Sarosh was just sitting there. He had like a jigger of whiskey or something, and he was looking at some brochure, kind of a little bit bored. He had no idea the love that was going out from him in all directions. I mean, totally effaced. He had, Darwin said it was clear. He had no idea. That's the stage that when Baba ended the gathering, he's trying to get Darwin to that stage where you don't even know what's happening.
Did Darwin feel like it was a personal, like, was there something that where he considered it directly related to that thought that he had?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said the moment he had that thought, Baba said, that's it. And he knew that that type of thought, which is all right for most of us, but it's not, when you get to that level, even that kind of thinking's got to be gone. But I mean, it's good to hear the postgraduate kind of level on these things, but not feel like, you know, you have to kind of be there. Baba moves us kind of gradually into this, but that was one of the things that he he brought home to Darwin. One time Darwin was with with Mergy and Sarosh had gone up to Detroit to see the the manufacturing of automobiles and everything, and the the what do you call it? God, I can't even remember the way they're manufactured, the
Assembly lines or whatever.
assembly line, and the magnificent. So when they saw Baba, I guess they were in New York, and they saw him. They were telling him, describing all of this, and Darwin was thinking, what are they wasting Baba's time? He's the avatar, and they're talking about the assembly line in Detroit. And Baba shot a withering look at him, and, and he could do that, but that's just that finer tuning. In other words, if Baba's enjoying it, then whatever it is, if Baba can get into it, there was one lady, Agnes Barron, who was with Baba, driving him from Marymount to Los Angeles, where Baba was staying. This is 1956, and Agnes Barron was a kind of a feisty, opinionated, kind of a little bit abrasive personality. And in the car, she said to Baba, she was the one driving him. She said, Baba, some people just don't like me. And Baba turned to her and said, but I like you. That's the most important thing. If Baba likes you, then if other people don't like you, well, you don't have to change. I mean, because she would she would give the shirt off her back. She was very loving, but she had kind of a rough, slightly abrasive personality.
Can you also say the other thing Baba told her regarding that you love all, but you just don't like
yeah.
the beauty?
So anyway, when she drove Baba back to Los Angeles, she got into kind of an altercation with Ivy Deuce, who was the head of the Sufis. And I mean, she could bump heads with people. So later on, when she was with Baba, Ivy wasn't there, but she said, Baba, you said that we should love everybody. But I can't love everybody. What are you going to do about that? She says that to Baba. And Baba said to her, Agnes, you love everybody, you just don't like everybody. And Agnes said, well, I can live with that.
What does that mean? You can love everybody, but you don't like everybody. I mean,
in other words, she would give.
Comprehend.
Huh?
I'm unable to comprehend that. Like,
well, she would give the shirt off her back even to somebody she didn't like. She would, she would make sacrifices for their spiritual well-being. She was loving. You can dislike somebody and love them at the same time.
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy, but it's an important thing you can love somebody and you know that you will make sacrifices for their spiritual well-being, for their life. You'll get them to the hospital if they're injured or something, even if you don't like them. Liking is just a temporary, liking something or disliking is just samskaric. Love is on a different, a different
frequency.
Hey, is that Karen St. John?
I think it's Farishta trying to say something.
Oh yeah, Farishta, go ahead.
I said, yeah, love is in a different frequency.
Yeah, it's a different track.
I think one thought I had was basically we're all the same pieces of the old soul. So since like Baba says, you and I are not we but one. So in that sense, and God is love, that our soul is permeating through every one of us, and it knows nothing but love. So in that sense, there is love that is prevailing all through everywhere. And what can make the difference is in terms of externality is the samskaras, I suppose. Just like you said, yeah.
Yeah, we're Karen, can you hear us?
Yeah, Karen, yes.
Yeah, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Great.
Hey, this was what we were talking about. You might find this interesting.
Can I say hello to Karen first?
Yeah.
Karen.
Barista, Jai Baba.
Jai
Mwah.
Baba, sweetheart. Oh my God. I watched your video because one night Jeff was having a late night. You were on, and I've been waiting to watch that video. And suddenly you popped up, and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so sweet to see you.
Great to see everybody, and you especially. Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of in the dark because we're going on 12:20 a.m. here.
I got to go pretty soon. Hey, but Karen, this is what I relate. Agnes Barron. Did you ever? You didn't meet Agnes Barron, probably not, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, she was kind of a feisty, opinionated, kind of slightly abrasive person. But,
Yes.
But had a great love, and she'd give the shirt off her back, and she, But anyway, she was driving Baba from Marymount to in 1956 to LA where Baba was staying, and on the ride she said to Baba, Baba, some people just don't like me.
Yeah.
And Baba said, but I like you. So, but anyway, so then she went down to LA and she got into an altercation with Ivy Deuce. And later on she was with Baba. And Ivy wasn't there, and she said, Baba, you say we should love everyone. But I can't love everyone. What are you going to do about that? That's the way she would talk. And Baba said to Agnes, you love everybody, you just don't like everybody.
Like everybody.
She said, I can live with that.
I remember her telling that story.
But we were saying how you feel about somebody is kind of like sanskaric. I mean, much of it, but you can love somebody and not like them at the same time.
Right.
I'd like to ask Karen how she met. How do you know? How did you meet her, and what kind of time did you spend with Agnes Barron?
I went to California, and someone took me up to Marymount, and she was there, and she was really wonderful, very feisty, told tons of stories, gave us tea, quite generous. Actually, I admired her quite a bit.
Yeah.
And she took us all over the property. Showed us the tree where Baba had sat, and just, very lively person. She was aging quite a bit then, so it was harder for her to walk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Baba called her his watchdog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting thing, because sometimes if you don't feel, you don't kind of feel very, you take a dislike to somebody. It's kind of good to kind of reserve the judgment and wait to see if the love overrides. Or you
Yeah.
can get in touch with the love. You know, that guy there, if they were calling for help, you'd help them. You know, you'd do whatever you could. If they wanted to go to Maribad, you'd take them to Maribad, even if you didn't like their personality. And that's all just how my sanskars are butting up against your sanskars at this moment. You know, 2 hours later, I might be, my sanskars might be in a different phase, and and they mesh and harmonize with your sanskars. You know what I mean? It's very, very ephemeral.
So it's like separating out the karmic and the sanskar.
Yeah.
And love, which is an entirely different thing. It's not emotional.
Yeah, it's not even sanskaric, I would say.
No.
So,
I think one important thing which, Jeff, in that you may not like a person, but we shouldn't be hating that person. So that dislike shouldn't convert to love. And that's, the dislike shouldn't to hate. And that's what we need to be cautious about.
yeah, I mean, all of those negative reactions can block the awareness of the love. I mean, definitely. That's the thing. If you get too far into the negative, then it's hard to access the love that's actually there at the same time. But there are people that can, you know, some of those generals that didn't like Baba, I mean, didn't like Shivaji, some of them got realization. The ones that were on the other side who hated him and were trying to get rid of him.
Also, how
Huh?
is that what Baba said?
Yeah. Yeah, some of his mandali were on the other side trying to, Baba said, trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, I heard
Baba
that
doesn't
about
take those
Krishna
things.
in the war, with the war that was happening. Like some of the enemies that hated Krishna so badly that on their, being slayed in that moment, they were like, "I friggin' hate you!" But like the fact that they were thinking of him so much that they got realized. There's so many of them that.
Yeah, Baba said, whether you love me or hate me, both are. I mean, didn't he say that it's the same to him?
Yeah.
That great intensity.
Yeah, it's the energy, the focus on him. Like Colonel Irani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I'm on the love side of the equation and this incarnation.
Yeah, I know. It's about time you came around.
I know, right?
Colonel Irani,
It takes us a long time.
this is what I heard from Hermes, and I don't know if it's true, and he may have gotten it from Adi, but Colonel Irani was basically the nemesis. I mean, he was always trying to get to Baba gatherings and pass out pamphlets saying that Baba was a hoax, and he turned so many of the people, the Parsis and the Zoroastrians in Bombay against Baba. But then a lot of them would check Baba out and see if what he was saying was true. So he kept Baba's name alive. But Mara always felt bad that her uncle, because Colonel Irani was her uncle, her mother's brother, and she felt bad and would say to Baba that she felt bad that the one person that really opposed Baba the most was Colonel Irani. And then, so this is what Hermes told me, that this was all through his life, Colonel Irani was doing this. And then you know, he passed on, and one day when I think it was in the 60s, Baba visited his childhood home, and you know, you see the movies of them there around the well and everything, and Gulnar, his niece, was holding this baby, and Amara was there, and Baba said, "You remember how you used to worry that about your about your uncle opposing me all these years?" And he pointed to this baby, that Gulnar, reborn right into his intimate family.
Wow.
You know, and I mean, I've heard that he's the top person on the tower of to his departed ones. He's him.
Yes, he is.
I think.
Wait, is this common knowledge that Colonel Irani came back as a baby?
I don't know. See, I heard this from Hermes, and you know, and I can't verify that, but it's
So you mean to say?
very
well,
possible.
Hermes hobnobbed with a lot of close ones, so I would say it's probably plausible.
You got a lot of very interesting facts. Americhan, are you trying to add something?
Yeah, I want to add something is when Baba was said, when I was Shivaji, he was addressing to the Mandali. When I was Shivaji, you are with me. At the time of that time, Sadasiv Patil was Tanaji, Bhuva Sahib was the manager, as was the Afzal Khan, and Adi's mother is Gulmai, was his mother, Jijia Mata. Later in privately, Baba told Aji K. Irani that he had been Shivaji's wife. And in May 1930, Baba also disclosed Viceroy of Lord Irwin and Mahatma Gandhi were spiritual connection with me, for both lived at the time of Shivaji.
Now we don't know who's on whose side, but were some of those names that you gave were the Mughals on the other side?
Bhuva Sahib. Afzal Khan was the Aurangzeb's this man.
Oh, okay. Aurangzeb. Okay, so one of the Mughal generals was one of Baba's present-day Mandali. You can't go wrong either way.
It's incredible. His play, I mean, it's just fantastic.
There's no vengeance in Baba. I mean, no retaliation, any of that kind of stuff.
So, Jeff, you mean that Hermes mentioned that Gulnar being the incarnation of M.S. Irani, Colonel M.S. Irani? That's what Hermes mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not Gulnar. One of her children.
Child.
One of her child. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who had the same name, Merwan Esarani.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, that I don't know for sure. I'm just saying that this is what Hermes told me.
Yes.
Well, do we have pictures of Colonel Irani? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Mara's uncle.
Yeah. Well, send me the pictures. I'll do a forensic analysis.
Yeah, take the DNA.
Picture.
Take the DNA.
The pictures is also available in Mera and that's beloved. This thing written by David Fanster.
Mera,
3 volumes in one of the Mera. In that book, the Colonel Irani's picture is also the photograph is there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's easier to find. What about Gulnar's
And
said child?
even Baba asked to inscribe his name even in Memorial Tower.
Yeah, I know that. But
Colonel
what about
Irani,
this child we're talking about?
No idea.
Poor child.
No, he was a great guy. Wonderful guy. I met him.
What's his name?
Same name, Merwan Esarani.
Merwan Esarani.
No way.
Same name, two lifetimes in a row.
That's crazy.
I'm tired of signing these
Still alive?
signatures.
Oh my God.
That gentleman's still alive?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, he's, I'd say he's probably 15 years younger than me, something like that.
Wow.
So he should be still alive. Yeah.
Where does he live?
When I saw him, he was on his way to the southwest of the United States. He wanted to be a filmmaker, but I have not seen him in probably 30 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Any flashes, Karen, from the infinite?
Big one this week on forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
Again. Seems to be my theme here that I'm picking up on. But of course, we're all in lockdown, so very strict lockdown actually. And it seems to be coming up because we don't have anybody else to rub up against, you know? Sandpaper effect. But yeah, the last times I've gone to Samadhi, I got this really strong hit. Because I had to go see a difficult person. and I've tried so many different ways to work this through this relationship with Baba. And then what I got from him was, you don't have to work this through. I'm taking care of it. All you have to do is forgive this person and realize that they need more love than anyone else you know right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, beautiful.
Well, it is, because I didn't even realize I was holding something against this person. I mean, but it becomes part of life, and you just go on. And I mean, here you get to say Jai Baba to everybody, and that's wonderful. But it doesn't necessarily mean there's peace and harmony. So I think the other side of forgiveness is harmony. They don't seem like opposites, but I'm finding that.
The opposites, harmony and
Forgiveness.
forgiveness.
Finding harmony. And it has to do with the deep inner feeling towards someone. It's not an external thing necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there was someone who is a local village person who works for the trust, and this person stole some money, and you know, everybody knew that it was true, and it was caught on the video cam and so forth, and it happened to me, and I lost quite a bit. And the person, when I tried to talk to them about it, they got really, really nervous, actually. And I almost walked into the bathroom with me, into the ladies. This was a guy. So I knew that he had done it, but he always denied it. And he never got, nobody ever punished him. Or there was no consequence, not really a punishment. Anyway, I just always avoided him. And then about 2 weeks ago, I saw him and I thought, there's that guy again. And he's still walking around, probably doing the same thing, you know, working with somebody else and watching people and stealing money from them. And he's a security guard, and he's supposed to be protecting everyone here. And then I just went deeper and I just said, I don't want to carry this anymore. I'm the one that's really experiencing this anger toward him, or whatever the feeling at the time, dislike, or, you know, like you were saying. And so I just, at that moment, Baba just kind of came in and I gave it and he took it, and that was it. And it's been so wonderful because now I'm just greeting him with a big, full, open heart. And it's like, doesn't matter if he's a thief or not, or, I mean, that's just his karma. So all of these little things seem to come into this major flash of it's a time to forgive. So that's, yeah, these are some examples. I mean, it's happened again and again when I've gone up to Samadhi lately.
Yeah, those are, yeah, no, this is,
I didn't even realize I was holding this, you know. It was just became part of life, and you go around and you see so many people who say Jai Baba, and you know, you're just kind of casually greeting people, but it's real different to go down under that, or to actually really mean that, I guess, is more what it is.
yeah. I had something that Baba said to me in the tomb. I think Alan has heard it, but and I think I mentioned it to you, but where I had this one person treated me so in such a mean way, so indifferent for years and years, probably 30 years, and the last conversation I had with the person, I gave him some feedback on his behavior. A great many other people would have wanted to do the same. And it just kind of went in one ear and out the other. I didn't mean anything to him. So, but then 3 weeks later, I went to India, and I was in the tomb. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't burdened by this thing. I mean, I was respectful, but I gave him feedback, and I didn't mince any words. This is after 30 years. Normally, he wouldn't even listen. But somehow we were brought together over something else, and I used that opportunity to give him some feedback. But anyway, I was in the tomb about 3 weeks later in the afternoon, and I saw this scene of this guy and me floating by, and Baba flashed this to me. In a millisecond, a whole discourse, and putting it into English, if I can remember, Baba said, "Take my word for it 100%, not in this lifetime, but in the past. You used to be just like him. You used to do hurtful things to people, and you never experienced any remorse, expressed any remorse. That was their problem. And you just didn't care the effect what you did on others." And then Baba said, "This person has been in your life all these years to bring you to this moment when you will ask me for forgiveness for the way you had been in the past." Forgiveness that I would readily give you. And I got it. In other words, I used to do exactly the same things. Not in this lifetime. I wasn't like this person, but in the past. And I never asked, I justified it. And I never asked for forgiveness. So in this lifetime, this person played that role, did the same thing. And so what I did in the tomb is I conjured up how this guy had made me feel over the decades. I spent, maybe 45 minutes, all that this person, and then I said, Baba, in the past I made someone feel like this. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, normally you think, well, he's the guy that should be asking for forgiveness, not me. I'm the victim. But then I came back, and this person never treated me like that again. Because their role was over.
It was finished. Yeah.
I mean, that person may continue with other people, but not with me. Because Baba forgave me for how I had been. Isn't that, amazing? I mean, this is like so back-assward. I wouldn't have ever thought of such a thing.
Yeah. It is so true, though. I mean, even if we think about how we dislike some quality of somebody and we look inside of ourselves, I mean, I have to say, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
And
if you spot it, you got it. If you spot it, you got it.
Yeah. And I haven't ever done that to anybody. Yeah. That's
I should say that this is just done at an inner level. You may have to keep a distance from someone externally. This is at the inner level. I mean, I still kind of keep a little distance from this person because they can do some hurtful things. But but yeah, it just does that make any sense to you, Ganesh?
Yes, and yeah, the inner level thing. I was just curious to know when Karen said she worked out with Baba, exactly what did you do? It means you spoke to Baba, you wrote a letter to Baba, or how is it like you worked to Baba? I just am curious to know, means Karen, if you wish to share that.
Oh, so you mean how did I work this through with Baba?
Yes.
Well, it's for me, it's totally internal, and I guess I talk to Baba a lot out loud now because there's nobody around to hear me, and it's wonderful. So, but this was silent, and I just, it was triggered by my seeing this person. For example, with the security guard, I saw him, and he was guarding the samadhi, supposedly, and kind of sitting way off to the side, I mean, that was what he was assigned to do, and he was doing a good job. And I just all of a sudden got this flash. You have to forgive him. That's what I heard, the words inside. It's time now. I want you to forgive him and realize that you've been carrying this way too long. So I don't know how much of that is Baba's exact words or how much is mine, but I every day for 4 years, I've seen this person practically, and all of a sudden this just came up and out right at the samadhi. So when that happens, I really take it as something from Baba. It's too profound not to be. It's not something I generate particularly.
Yeah.
No, I think one thing with forgiveness is that a lot of working has to be done at inner level and then come to a point where we can really forgive in spirit or be compassionate. Because what happens is that just because somebody hurt and I don't want to face the situation, I just say forgive is not what it is. But there is a lot of inner working that goes on and a lot of thing that is inner, and then you finally come to this point of understanding, knowing it is, oh, it's my past that has put me in this situation, and then working out with Baba and then saying forgiveness. I think it's I'm just saying because, okay, forgiveness, I mean, what you're saying is that all that working, and that's what I understand from it. A lot of inner working goes through, and then we finally can forgive that person in a real spirit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a whole inner revolution, you might say.
Yeah. It's like a process that, I mean, from the beginning, I would see him every time I would go into the place where I work in Maribot, and he was mostly assigned there. So it was like I saw him every day and I always said Jai Baba. But yeah, it was, you know, I had to look at that a long time. But I wasn't conscious of holding on to that all that long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of it can be unconscious. A lot of it can be unconscious working.
I've had that experience with somebody in my recent life where I thought I just could kind of forget about them. But they were a particular person in my life that caused a major break in from my old life to the next chapter of the rest of my life, where they definitely affected my psyche. So I happened to see them randomly when maybe 10 years later, in the middle of a very, very busy city. And basically, it was so random because I just hadn't thought of them, and I turned a corner and they were right there. It was just like this person I did not want to see, the last person I ever wanted to talk to or I ever wanted to see ever again. I mean, I actually felt feelings of like, God, I mean, at the time I was just like, God, could they just like leave the earth? Like, I don't want to deal with them ever again. I really had those thoughts where I was like, I just actually that far where I just really didn't want to see them, both hands up. And then finally I turned the corner in the middle of this bustling city, and who do I see? And they knew immediately who I was, and they said hello, and they wanted to talk to me, interact. They even wanted to hang out more with me. They were just so drawn to me, and I was like, I'm not interested in that. Thank you. See you later. And I just felt so kind of creeped out and just not well. It brought up a lot of PTSD because there was a lot of trauma during that time in my life. Not that they caused it, but it was just they had played a part in that. So, as of lately, it's with all the pandemic and all the feelings of instability emotionally, that person or that fear of them, or this haunting feeling, like I'm being chased or haunted, or this feeling, particularly with that person, is randomly coming up, at nighttime and when I wake up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I've tried, when Jeff, you talked about that story, a beautiful, beautiful, story of being in the samadhi and being able to forgive. And I sat a little bit with that. Like, what have I done to make someone feel so hunted and creeped out and just like really just the skin on their back crawl, just everything makes them feel disgusted. How have I made someone feel that and gone into that feeling? And I feel like Baba was like, here's a little feeling of what that's like to let go of a little bit of that. And it was just so much relief. But I pulled back because I just couldn't, I don't know, there was something about me that wasn't ready. And so when you're talking about it, Karen, about just having naturally walked and turned the corner and seen that person, and it was like that, you know, Baba was like, it's time. And for me, it's not time yet. I still carry that person and that experience of being hunted, and it's even stretched into not even just that person, but just the world now. Like I have to protect myself from this outside world coming to get me, and it doesn't seem like it's this lifetime, because I mean, sure, it happened to me at one point in my life where there was physical, you know, those violence in the world that I was participating in as well, but it shouldn't be to this extent. I mean, I did come from a family of war survivors, and a lot of my family went through war and genocide. So, so I might be in my genetics as well. But, you know, genetics, past lives, I mean, I'm in the perfect vessel to work this stuff out. So, anyways.
Yeah, or like Karen said, a lot of this is up in the subconscious. It's hard to get at until it kind of drops. Usually I find it drops first into the dream world, and then from the dream world it drops into my conscious life. And you have to kind of do something with it. But Karen, you know, who's that guy that's taking something off of your dresser in the back there? There. Someone's going through your dresser in the back there. No, I'm just
I think that's in the back of the mind. The mind.
That thing that Baba used to do.
We got your back. We got your back. We can see it.
Baba used to do that with Margaret. I was just telling the group that Baba would, with Margaret Krask, he would suddenly just like not pretend, but he would really like seriously look behind her, like over her shoulder, and she'd look away. And when she'd look back, he'd give her a little smack. And he did that game with her all the way up towards the end.
In fact, there's a movie in 1956 where she's with Baba up on the hotel, and he's holding her, and you know, she's kind of shy, and he's really expressing so much affection and love for her and everything. And then there's a blip, and then the scene continues. And that's when Baba slapped her, but the Sufis kind of took that out. He put, I mean, even in 1956, you know, many, you know, decades later, he got her up on the, you know, that type of thing where you point to somebody, you point to something on their chest and they look down and you flick and you hit their nose. Baba did that type of thing with her, and right there with the camera on it, but they removed it because it needed to have a context.
Oh, he did it. It was the recording happening.
Yeah, but those frames were taken out.
Oh my God! Why? No.
Well, just because people might get the wrong idea.
Oh man!
But
well, you know what she said.
The scene is going on, and then there's a blip, and then the scene continues.
Oh.
And I think she said that happened there.
No, she said that for that one in 1956 that Baba had done that, where he kind of like looked over her or something, and he had got her, you know, first, and then he tried to do it again, and she's like, "Oh no, Baba, I know what you're trying to do. You're not gonna be able to get me for another 700 years." And he looked really sad and disappointed, and he signed that he was sad and disappointed, and then it was the last final time where she went to see him at like these flight of stairs in the stairway, and he was signing something to her about something that needed to happen, and then his expression just really changed really quick, and it looked like just very like I think the word she used was like a forgiving, warm, loving look, and he just really dropped in and looked over her shoulder, and she just, you know, naturally was like, who's he looking at? And she turned back, and he gave her a hard smack. Yeah. And in fact was the last slap that he gave her for the
beautiful
700 years. Yeah.
And the thing is that Margaret was so sharp. I mean, she had such awareness that it would take a lot to trick her on anything. She just had the 360 degrees of awareness were all operating in her, and only Baba could get her. She was just too smart, too
Yeah, that was the title of
beautiful.
the book. One, never one.
Say that again.
That was the title of the chapter that I had read in her book. The title of the chapter was One, Never One, like meaning one never
Yeah.
won. Baba.
Yeah.
Never got the last.
You
never
can
got the
always
last.
find
Yeah.
a weakness in your armor or a blip in your awareness.
That's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
It is.
He was very neat.
Yeah, the last time I saw her, she was very, very serious, and there was hardly anything left of her. She was wrapped up in a blanket on the porch at Happy House, and you could hardly find Margaret. She was so cuddled down in there, and she had lost a lot of weight. She was very old. And she looked at me, and I just met her gaze. I didn't know what she was going to say, but she waited until some perfect time, I guess. I don't know, but she raised up her finger, and it was kind of like a little shaky pointing finger like that. And she said, "He's the one, and don't you ever forget it." Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's coming from somebody who knows.
Wow.
Oh, there was absolutely no doubt that she knew.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she gave me that essence also.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah.
I found with the Mandali, because of their proximity to Baba inwardly, they could just say something like that, or even something casual, and it could change your life because it's coming from the essence. They may say, "Wipe that frown off your face," and that, just a comment like that, could change your whole way of responding to life. You know what I mean? Because it's not just a remark, but it's coming from the essence, the deepest essence.
Yeah. So Karen, what did what did she say? She said, "He is the one."
He's the one, and don't you ever forget it.
I mean, those things are like emblazoned in your being.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, for moments there, I was just completely shattered, persona, whatever. It was just gone because there was nothing else. I mean, what can you say? What can you?
Did you reply to her at all?
I nodded my head. I think I was totally speechless. I don't remember saying anything. And there were some moments, and then we went on with the normal conversation after a while, but I think I just sat there stunned for about 15 or 20 minutes with her.
In silence?
Just, yeah.
Wow.
But we used to do that anyway, just sit there, unless we had something to say.
Yeah, she said she loved to do that. She loved to sit in those moments of silence with Baba in that book.
Yeah.
That was her favorite. She loved the sweet silence.
She didn't really like small talk.
Wow.
That was.
You couldn't be like, "Hey, Margaret, How are you doing? Like she wouldn't really like that.
Not too much. Well, when I would say that to her in the beginning, when she started staying at Dilruba, she would say, well, how do you think I'm doing?
I think you're miserable, Margaret.
I mean, she was in pain and she was grumpy and, you know, but she was so radiant with Baba's love that you could see how she was doing. So it was pretty ridiculous to ask her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that
So-
the dancers used to call her Miss Krask, you know, kind of very formal. And I
Yeah.
kind of, I got into calling her Maggie. I mean, really sacrilegious. Hey, Maggie, how you doing? Call me Sonny
Snap at
Boy.
you?
Huh?
Did she ever snap back at you and say?
No. She was, she knew where I was coming from, but I call her Maggie.
Yeah, she loved to fool around. I mean, she was really a kick all the time that I saw her.
You know, there
Yeah.
were some of us that, you know, they had the 6 to 10 shift with her. And one of the people was David Silverman. And David, you know, David is kind of a computer guy, and he kind of wears the same blue pants and white shirt, and kind of, you know, what can I say? Kind of, anyway, so he's there with her.
Innocent. Yeah.
What's that?
Innocent.
Yeah, and
Maybe.
so he's
Yeah.
there one night with her. She's 96, and he's about 45. And he's sitting at the table, and he said, you know, Margaret, I've always wanted someone to share my life with. Oh, 1 second. Hey, I'll call in just a bit, okay? And so, um, yeah, you know, I've always wanted, you know, someone to share my life with, like a soulmate, someone that we could grow old together and, you know, be with Baba. And he looks over and it says, Margaret, you know, if you were younger, I would have asked for your hand. He says very sincerely. Margaret says, David, I'm sorry, but I had in mind a much younger man. She's 96 and he's 45. Yeah, I'm sorry, David, but I had in mind a much younger man.
Oh man, that's fast. That's
He
quick.
was very, yeah, there was one lady that came, she told me she came over to Dilruba and kind of coming over to see Kitty, and Kitty would had her office, and then there was the porch, and Margaret would sit over in the corner of the porch. And so she got this young lady comes bounding up, and she says, "Who are you?" She, you know, Margaret says pointedly, "Oh, I'm so and so. I'm new to Baba." Margaret says, "Good. You still have a chance to escape." And Walter Overkarsh, a buddy of mine, he was walking with her. That she had this cane, and she would take walks. She was very health conscious, and they were walking along. And he said, "You know, Margaret, I just feel so grateful and privileged to know about Bob in this lifetime. I mean, I don't know what I did I must have done something good in my past life to have the great fortune of knowing all about Baba." And she stops in the road there with her cane and looks over, eyes at him, you know, very pointedly, and says, "What makes you think he was attracted by your good qualities?" That's the way. I mean, that's not, you know, she had that kind of sardonic sense of humor.
She really did.
But she kept, you know, women, Mandalay and Baba, very amused by her wit. Yeah.
Definitely. She and Kitty used to have so many arguments about eating sugar. And Kitty was so pro-sugar in your diet. And Margaret was so anti-sugar. And I remember being invited for lunch at Dilruba. And Margaret and Kitty were both there. Kitty's at the head of the table, Margaret's down to the side of me, and it came time for dessert. And Margaret says, well, I don't want to be a part of this. And Kitty said, this what? And of course, it got into the sugar argument. And I mean, they were so serious, going at each other back and forth and back and forth, and nobody else could say anything. There were 3 other people there, I think, with us. Completely took over everything for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And the person who was serving lunch brought out the desserts, and Margaret was still sitting there. And at the very end of it, Margaret started to get up, and Kitty said, you see, I got you. I made you sit here, and all this time, and you were getting ready to leave. And Margaret comes back and says, if you eat sugar, it's going to kill you. And Kitty just looked at her with this really kind of daggers look. But anyway, of course, they both lived to be quite an old age, and Kitty over 100, so it didn't seem to affect
Kitty outlived her.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Kitty lived to 100.
Yeah, so, you know, so that not taking sugar, she lost 4 years on her life there.
Oh, wow.
I think so. Anyway.
Hey, well, I'm going to, it is, oh God, it's 1:10.
Oh my God.
I mean, you guys got it made. You're just starting out your day, and Alan's got, and I am, it's 10 o'clock there, 10:10.
Keep my eyes open.
You
This
guys
is
got everything.
Yeah, I'll try to come earlier next Thursday.
Yeah.
I just barely got to drop in, but thanks so much, everybody.
It's so heartwarming to hear all of these things, and then the various things having to do with the inner life and dealing with these situations, how to deal with it from the inside. I found it very fascinating.
I love it. I listen to the other chats during the week, but I can't tune in. This is my one day, so thank you.
Oh, good.
Thank you guys. I really benefit. I really do. This is medicine for me.
Yeah.
It is for
Jeff,
all of us.
when are you coming next? So is it on Friday night your time, or when are you planning to come next?
Who, me?
Yes.
I'll probably be here. Wait, what is today? Wednesday?
Yes.
Wednesday, yes. Thursday or morning.
Thursday and Friday I'll be here.
Friday, okay.
No, Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday. That's tomorrow. Because tomorrow we have our Effort and Grace workshop, which Karen conducts it, organizes it for us.
Yeah.
So that's 10 to 11:30 a.m. India time. So tomorrow would be a bit difficult because that workshop is there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I see.
Probably you can come into that workshop.
What time would it be my time?
I think it's like 2:30 in the morning, because we have had some people come, huh? It's not?
10:40, it is now 10:40, ours is at 10 a.m. So 45 minutes. So what time is it right now?
Here it's 1:13.
So 1:30 minus 45, so that's like 12:30 night your time.
So it's a 10:45 here.
Hey, well, send me the link. Just just.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I'll be up there, but you know.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, we'll leave this place and go over pitch our tent in another bud.